Ever feel like your heart, kind of has a mind of its own?
Hmm, interesting.
Well, get ready to dive into some fascinating science that might just convince you it does. We're exploring excerpts from The Science of the Heart, Volume 2.
By the HeartMath Institute.
Right, by the HeartMath Institute. And buckle up because we're going way beyond that simple idea of your heart as just like a pump.
Absolutely. It's so much more than that. We're going to be looking at the heart as this incredible communication center
Okay.
in constant dialogue with your brain
So it's like this whole hidden conversation happening inside us?
all the time.
All the time, yeah. And I, for one, am dying to know how it all works.
Well, imagine this bustling network. Information just flowing through multiple channels. The heart and brain actually communicate in four main ways.
Full.
Four main ways: neurological, biochemical, biophysical, and energetic.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's break it down a little bit. What's
Oh.
going on with these pathways?
All right, so first up, you've got your nervous system. It's like the original pathway.
What?
These are direct nerve connections, and they allow your heart and brain to rapidly send messages back and forth.
Rapidly.
Yeah, think of like a high-speed fiber optic cable.
So when my stomach flips on a roller coaster, for instance, that's my heart on the neurological line with my brain.
Exactly.
Wow.
But there's more. So hormones, like adrenaline or oxytocin, they act as messengers too. That's your biochemical pathway.
Oh, okay.
A bit slower.
Then the neurological.
Yeah, like sending a letter instead of a text. But don't be fooled, the messages are just as powerful.
Interesting. So it's like sometimes our heart is sending a quick text message. Other times it's going old school with a heartfelt letter. I like that.
I like it.
What about this biophysical pathway?
This one's pretty cool. Your heart actually communicates through your pulse.
My pulse.
Each pressure wave, each beat you feel, carries information to the brain and the rest of your body.
Wow, I never thought about my pulse as a form of communication. That's wild. Okay, you mentioned a fourth pathway, energetic communication. What's that all about? This sounds very interesting.
This is where it gets really interesting. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field. And get this, it's stronger than the field your brain generates.
Really?
This field carries information about your emotional state, broadcasting it further than you might think.
Hold on. So my heart has its own energy field. It's like I'm walking around with an invisible, I don't know, signal booster, broadcasting my emotions to everyone.
Precisely. And there's more.
There's more.
Your heart actually sends more information to the brain than it receives.
Whoa. That's a major plot twist. So it's not just the brain calling the shots. This challenges everything I thought I knew
Right.
about who's in charge up there.
It turns out our emotions and feelings, processed by the heart, are likely playing a much bigger role in our thoughts and decisions, even our perception of the world, than we ever realized.
This is mind-blowing. I'm already starting to see how powerful this whole heart-brain connection really is. Okay, so we've got this incredible communication highway going on inside us. What happens when there's, say, a traffic jam?
That's a great way to put it. And honestly, one of the biggest culprits behind those traffic jams is stress.
Ah, stress. I think we can all relate to that one.
Absolutely. But it's more than just external events, right? Stress is also about how we perceive and respond to those events internally. Our thoughts, our emotions, they all play a part.
So even if I'm not, like, consciously dwelling on something, my heart is still picking up on those underlying emotions and sending out signals.
Exactly. And when those emotions are negative, like fear, anger, frustration, they can trigger that familiar fight or flight response.
Right. Like my heart racing when I'm about to give a presentation or facing a deadline. We've all been there.
Exactly. And while that surge of energy can be helpful in short bursts, if we're constantly stuck in that stress mode, it can take a serious toll. The research is now showing a strong link between prolonged states of stress and an increased risk of heart problems.
So ignoring stress is not an option, is it? It's like our body is trying to tell us something, and we've got to listen.
Exactly. Learning to manage stress and build resilience is essential, not just for a healthy heart, but for our overall well-being.
Okay, I'm hearing resilience is key here. But how does that work with the heart? It seems more like, a mental thing.
You're right. Resilience does involve our mental and emotional states, but it also has a deep connection to our physical selves, especially the heart.
Okay.
Think of resilience as our ability to bounce back from challenges, to adapt and keep going.
Okay, I'm picturing like one of those inflatable punching bags. You hit it and it always bounces back up. How does that work in the context of the heart?
That's a great image. And, our hearts actually have this built-in mechanism that reflects how resilient we are. It's called heart rate variability, or HRV.
HRV, I've heard that term before, but I'll admit I'm a little fuzzy on what it actually means.
Yeah, it's more than just how fast or slow your heart beats. It's actually about the subtle variations in the timing between your heartbeats.
Okay.
Think of it like a measure of your flexibility, your adaptability in the face of change.
So someone with good HRV is like a jazz musician, always, riffing and responding to the music, while someone with low HRV is stuck playing the same note over and over.
Now you've got it.
Yeah.
A healthy heart thrives on variation,
Interesting.
just like a healthy life, right?
This is making me rethink what a healthy heart really means. I always thought a steady, unchanging beat was the ideal.
That's a common misconception. A dynamic heart, one with good HRV, is a sign of a system that's responsive, adaptable. And get this, research is showing we can actually influence our HRV
Really?
through things like self-regulation techniques.
Okay, now we're talking. Tell me more about these techniques. How do I get my heart jazzing it up?
Well, one of the most powerful techniques is surprisingly simple. It's just focusing on positive emotions.
Okay.
Remember a time you felt genuine appreciation, joy, or love. When you access those feelings, just notice how your energy subtly shifts.
I'm doing it right now, and yeah, I could feel a difference already.
Exactly. What you're experiencing is a physiological shift towards a state of
A
coherence.
coherence. Okay, I've heard that word thrown around a lot, but I admit I'm not entirely sure what it means.
It's a beautiful concept. Imagine an orchestra where all the instruments are playing together in harmony.
Okay.
That's what coherence is like for your body. It's when your heart, brain, and all your systems are synchronized, working together effortlessly.
So instead of my internal organs being like at odds with each other, it's more like a well-rehearsed symphony.
Precisely. And the benefits are incredible. We're talking about improved mental clarity, better emotional regulation, a stronger immune system, and even enhanced creativity.
Sign me up for all of that. But how do we actually get to that state of coherence? Is it just wishful thinking, or is there something more to it?
It's more than just thinking. It's about cultivating a genuine feeling. And that's where those self-regulation techniques like heart-focused breathing that we'll discuss later come in.
So it's about training our focus, bringing our attention to the heart, and tapping into those positive emotions.
Exactly. And the amazing thing is, these techniques don't just benefit us individually. They can impact our interactions with others too.
Wait, you're telling me my internal symphony can influence someone else's? How does that work?
Remember that electromagnetic field we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
The one that broadcasts our emotional states? Well, the HeartMath Institute has done research suggesting that this field can be detected by others, potentially influencing their emotional states and behaviors.
Okay, now that is mind-blowing. You mean to tell me we are all walking around influencing each other with our heart energy?
That's exactly what the research suggests. And it makes sense when you think about it. Haven't you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift? For better or worse?
Oh, absolutely. Like that, I don't know, palpable feeling when you're around someone who just radiates warmth and positivity.
Right.
Or the opposite, feeling drained after a tense meeting.
Exactly. It's like our hearts are in constant, subtle conversation, whether we're aware of it or not.
So we're picking up on those electromagnetic vibes all the time. Fascinating. This is making me think about intuition, those gut feelings we get. Is it possible that our heart is actually picking up on those subtle, energetic cues from others?
That's a fascinating possibility. And one that HeartMath is actively exploring. They've conducted experiments where people were shown a series of images, some calming, some emotionally disturbing, presented in random order.
Okay, so what happened? Did their heart react differently to the different types of images?
What's remarkable is that the participants' heart rate variability actually started to change before the image was even shown, almost as if their heart knew what was coming.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's like our subconscious is picking up on something that our conscious mind hasn't even processed yet.
Exactly. And these pre-stimulus changes were even more pronounced when the participants were paired with someone else who was also focused on generating a coherent heart rhythm.
So being in that coherent state makes us more sensitive, more intuitive.
It seems that way. It's like our hearts become more attuned to the subtlest information around us.
This is so cool, but it's also a little unnerving. Does this mean we're all just puppets to this energetic field, being swayed this way and that?
Not at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The more coherent we are, the more internally stable we become, less vulnerable to being swayed by external energetic influences.
So it's like having a strong inner compass that can help us navigate the world around us. I like that.
Precisely. And here's another thought. By cultivating coherence, we don't just benefit our own well-being, we potentially contribute to a more harmonious energetic field around us.
Okay, now we're getting into some really big picture stuff. This makes me think about the concept of collective consciousness. Is there any research to suggest that our heart energy could contribute to a larger, interconnected field of consciousness?
That's a really intriguing question, and one that researchers are just starting to explore. The Global Coherence Initiative, which grew out of the HeartMath Institute, is looking into this very thing.
Okay.
They have this network of sensors around the world that measure the Earth's magnetic field.
Wow, a global network of sensors. What have they found? Is there any connection between our heart energy and the Earth's magnetic field?
Well, it's still early in their research, but they're finding some fascinating correlations. For example, during periods of major global events like 9/11, they saw significant changes in the Earth's magnetic field.
So, like a collective surge of emotion impacting the planet's energy field.
That's one possible explanation. They're also finding correlations between changes in the Earth's magnetic field and things like heart attacks, traffic accidents, even social unrest.
Wow. This is really making me think about the interconnectedness of everything. Like we're all part of this larger energetic web influencing each other and even the planet itself.
It really is a lot to take in, isn't it? We've covered how the heart communicates with the brain, how stress disrupts these pathways, and how building resilience through practices like heart coherence can impact not just our own well-being, but potentially even the world around us.
It's a lot to process, but I'm ready for more.
Uh,
I'm curious about the practical implications of all of this. Where do we go from here?
it's one thing to talk about these heart-brain connections, energy fields, all of that, but how do we actually apply this knowledge in a practical way?
Right.
What can we do to cultivate more heart coherence and maybe even contribute to that more harmonious world we were talking about?
That's the million-dollar question. I'm ready to walk the talk, not just talk the talk?
Well, the good news is the HeartMath Institute has developed a whole system of techniques based on their research. And these techniques can help us tap into the power of the heart, increase our coherence, all of that.
Okay. I'm all ears. Give me the highlights. What are some of these techniques?
One of their core techniques is called heart-focused breathing.
Okay.
And basically, it's about gently shifting your attention to your heart area and breathing in a slow, rhythmic way. And at the same time, you're consciously focusing on a positive emotion like appreciation, care, gratitude, things like that.
It sounds a bit like mindfulness meditation, but with a focus on the heart.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's incredibly effective at calming the nervous system, reducing stress, and shifting into that more coherent state.
Okay, great.
They've also developed techniques like freeze frame, which helps you kind of pause in the middle of a stressful situation and access a more resourceful state of mind.
Great.
And then there's cut through, which can help you release, like limiting beliefs and emotions that might be holding you back.
These all sound incredibly useful, especially in today's world.
They are.
It's so fast-paced.
They really are.
Yeah.
And the beauty is they're simple to learn and can be practiced anytime, anywhere.
That's great.
HeartMath has even developed technology that can help you train your HRV and provide real-time feedback on your coherence levels. It's like having a personal trainer for your heart.
It's like a workout for your emotional resilience. I love that. And just like any muscle, the more you work it, the stronger it gets.
You got it. The more you train your heart to be coherent, the more resilient you become, both physically and emotionally.
This has so many potential applications, not just for like us as individuals, but for families, workplaces, schools. Imagine if everyone practiced heart coherence right.
It's a beautiful vision, and there's already evidence that it's making a positive impact. HeartMath has conducted studies in schools showing that teaching kids these techniques can reduce test anxiety, improve focus, and even boost academic performance.
That makes so much sense. Kids these days are dealing with so much pressure and stress. Giving them tools to, manage those emotions could be incredibly beneficial.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it's not just kids who benefit. HeartMath has also worked with organizations, from hospitals to corporations, law enforcement agencies, and they've seen incredible results. Reduce stress, improve communication, increase productivity, even lower healthcare costs.
Wow.
It's remarkable what happens when you bring heart intelligence into these environments.
It's amazing to think that by, tapping into the power of our own hearts, we can create these positive ripples that extend far beyond ourselves, right?
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder that we're all connected and that even small shifts in our own energy can contribute to a larger shift in the world.
It's inspiring, isn't it? It all starts with each of us taking responsibility for our own energetic state, practicing these techniques, sending out those coherent, heart-centered vibes. Who knows what kind of world we could create if we all made a conscious effort to tune into our hearts a little more often.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling incredibly inspired to start incorporating these heart math techniques into my own life. It's like we've been given this incredible gift, the power of our own hearts, and now it's time to start using it.
I couldn't agree more. It's a journey of self-discovery and one that can lead to a more fulfilling life for ourselves and a more harmonious world for all.
That's a beautiful note to end on. If you're feeling as inspired as we are to unlock the secrets of your heart and tap into its incredible power, we encourage you to check out the HeartMath Institute's website. They have a wealth of resources, including information about their research, those amazing techniques we talked about, all of that.
It's time to start listening to the wisdom of our hearts. You might be surprised by what you discover.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the incredible world of heart science. Until next time, be well and keep listening to your heart. It has a lot to tell you.